besides that, what the hell did they do?
Yeah.
Makes me.
Marsh and I were talking about that. We were talking about that before we brought you in. We both agreed that we hate UF fans more than FSU fans. But I mean, just being from our era, I think, the FSU rivalry just kind of trumps all the other ones just due to familiarity and how often we play. But I agree with you that there's some mutual respect. I mean, everything that I've ever learned about Bobby Bowden has I respect him as a man, right? He seems like a good dude, even though he's a Seminole. And I just can't say that about any Florida Gators, honestly.
Well, I mean,
I
so many
hate
kids that played for FSU and was friends with a lot of FSU players from the 80s and early 90s and stuff. And it just never devolved into, like, I would root for FSU to beat anybody unless I need the Canes, unless I need them to lose. You know what I mean? But if it's no benefit to Miami and FSU's playing Georgia Tech, I'm rooting for FSU. Now, if I need the win, then I'll root for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
But the Gators, and the funny, like, you look at the three fan bases, and they're very different. Like, Miami is a very unique fan base because nobody went to the school, and the school is tiny and has a huge international enrollment. So they have the small little fan base of a couple sections of seats, but the majority of Miami fans, nobody looks alike. There's every single shade, every color, every hairstyle, and they're welcomed. Look the next time the Gators play, a home game or whatever, and those doofuses are boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl in the stands.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Gator fans marry the girl that they dated as a freshman in college.
Who turned out to be their cousin.
Right. And they've got collared shirts on. The girls have like those collared polo shirts on with the Gator things. Whereas you look at the Canes stands or the tailgates and everything, there's every variety, every shape, everything. Like it never lines up like that. Like the Gator fans are like the people that have never lost their keys. You know what I mean? They're like super square and like their shirts tucked into their khakis, and they're sitting boy, girl at the stadium.
Yeah. They all look like they just came from like a fraternity and sorority function.
Exactly.
Well, you just described the quintessential Dan Mullen and Steve Spurrier outfit, so.
Right. Right.
Well, that's just SEC in general. I have a very random question for you. So we were talking about this in a Zoom call the other night. Doesn't have to do with the current Canes. Who do you think is the best running back ever to play at Miami?
Frank Gore. But they got he got so unlucky. Coker and Solinger. They lost McGahee, they lost Gore, and they lost Tyrone Moss back to back to injuries. Like had Gore stayed healthy, he's Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
Or better. But as far as Miami production, like actually doing it in college where Gore didn't because he missed like 2 years from ACL injuries, it's got to be Willis McGahee.
Yep. All right.
I mean, he's man-child.
Page.
Yeah. Well, we had Rocky McIntosh as a guest about a week and a half ago, and he said that Frank Gore is the best running back that he's ever seen in his life.
Right.
But then he also said that, I asked him that, who are the best running backs that he's ever played against? And he's like, honestly, all of them went to Miami with me. If he's to name the top 3 running backs he ever played against, it was guys that he played against in practice at Miami. So,
right.
Man, we were just loaded for a few years. It's unreal.
Loaded. And it's crazy how Miami has amassed all these guys and elevated so high up the charts where it's like USC and Miami, whichever way you want to flip it, 1 and 2, and then there's a big drop off.
Yeah.
The Gators have Emmett, the one guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Knowles have Warwick Dunn.
Yeah.
Maybe Dalvin Cook will explode, but Oklahoma in the 70s they had some too.
Yeah.
But you think like running back and it's like, wow, Miami has, however, is it like 5 guys with more than 8,000 yards or something?
It's something pretty crazy. I Are any running backs in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so, but I mean, Otis Anderson was a Super Bowl MVP. Frank Gore is third all-time rushing, which is just
crazy.
Crazy. That's been playing since I was in like third grade in the NFL.
Yeah. A director, a friend of mine, a guy that's made a ton of TV shows, is a 49ers fan. And when they got him, I was like, this is the kind of kid they make movies about. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, you'll figure it out. Like Frank Gore is a dude that they make a movie about 10 or 15 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, everything he went through, like huge heartbreaks, the exceptions that he had to get to be able to get into college, which I fully support and would support for any other school too. You know, like the people that need education the most shouldn't be the people that are getting denied it.
Yeah.
You know, Frank had a reading issue or some sort of cognitive thing, and they dealt with it, and that's the way it should happen. It shouldn't be like, oh, your SAT is too low, you can't learn.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great. I mean, you make it in a humorous way, but it's a serious and important point that you're making, you know?
And have you seen Frank in person?
Yeah.
He's terrifying.
He is. He just
his
looks
head
like a big
and
muscle.
just his thighs and everything, and you're like, this dude. Like one night, I've probably told the story I think on Twitter before, but we were shooting the TV show for Brandy and her brother Ray J. Okay, and it was Brandy's birthday, so they came to Miami Beach, and we're gonna go to Mansion, and it's all these celebs in there, right? So we spend the whole day at the National Hotel with Brandy and her family shooting boring reality stuff of them by the pool and ordering lunch and everything. And she has a bodyguard, and he's big. He's a big dude. So about 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're all pretty liquored up, and we're like, okay, we're going to head to Mansion, which is a nightmare for a TV crew. You know what I mean? Like you're dealing with those crowds, and everybody's jumping in front of the camera, and just like the last place you want to be is a nightclub in Miami Beach with a TV crew. So we make our way through the back door, and I'm following Ray J, and there's an audio guy, and we all go up into the VIP area behind the DJ booth, and Frank is up there with a bunch of canes and a bunch of his friends and stuff. And my boy, the audio guy, he's got you've seen him before, the big pack like on his stomach with all the audio gear, and he goes to Frank, he goes, "You're a beast, man," and goes to like give him a high five, and Frank just mean mugs him. And leaves them hanging. So we put our equipment down and everything. And somebody walked up to my friend and goes, "What'd you say to Frank?" And then the kid got scared, of course. And he was like, "Oh, he's my favorite player." I said, "You're a beast." Like, you know, I wanted to, dap him up. And the kid shook his head like, boy, you don't even know. I was like, dude, are we going to get run by Frank Gore and all his boys up in the VIP at Mansion? So all of a sudden, Bryant McKinney comes up.
Ooh.
And I look at the bouncer, who was gigantic, 6'5", 6'6", 280. And I was like, check that dude out.
Yeah.
Whereas, McKinney's one of the biggest people on the planet.
Right. Yeah, I saw him last year at the Gator game. He like broke up a fight between me and a Gator fan. That dude is massive. Huge.
Yeah. I think his tip to tip, his wingspan's 9 feet.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
It's like, well, that is a great reason why he's one of the best offensive tackles in the last 30 years,
Yeah.
So Duck, I have one last question for you, and then I think Jordan has one too. So it looks like Miami is going to be adding, I think, 2 what is it, Jordan? Is it 2 non-conference games to our schedule? Or
I
one
think
non-conference? So. Who would you like to see Miami play? Like, what other teams would you like to see them play this year?
I'm like 60-40 that the season's not going to happen. Just looking at what's happened to the Marlins and baseball this week. Like, it's a different story when you're talking about kids. These guys, the professional athletes and stuff, they're paid a lot of money. They can take risks, but you can't take those kind of risks with a kid. And just in the back of my mind is, how every year a tragedy happens where like a basketball player, a high school basketball player, sorry, like dies on the court because they've had like an undisclosed heart condition?
Yeah.
I'm afraid that if a college football player dies because he had some underlying thing or a little heart defect or whatever, like it's going to come down.
Yeah.
And there's been rumors, I just find it tough to believe, but like that Clemson and Alabama purposely got their players infected so they would have immunity now and be able to play in November and December. If a kid gets really sick and has to end up on a ventilator or something, like Saban, Sweeney, whatever, they're in big trouble. So I'm not convinced they're having a season this year, but I guess, is Notre Dame in?
I think that's what we're leaning towards.
Yeah, I thought it was official. I could be wrong on that, but as far as I know, Notre Dame is in full-fledged ACC championship eligible.
Yeah. So I guess Notre Dame, if we're going to play, or they would be added to the ACC schedule. So, I mean, I would like to say to play FIU again, but they're beneath. That's a once in a lifetime thing, and Miami should never play them again. After what happened with the Coker, the big fight, and this thing with the flopping and Butch mocking DJ Dallas's injury.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like just don't play them again, or at least for 20 years. If we didn't play Florida for 20 years, it won't hurt to not play FIU. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to get into was, I follow or engage a lot with Kane's Titan, Tony.
Yeah.
Who's like my recruiting guy, my go-to. Like, I don't do the forums or 24/7 or any of that stuff. I kind of need it condensed and sent over to me. So, I'd say let's play UCF because those guys, now they're short run. Like if they stink the next couple of years, they'll disappear altogether. They'll never be as annoying as the Gators. But for the past couple of years, those fools have been like real annoying.
Dude, the way I see UCF fans is they're like the 16-year-old teenage girl fighting for recognition of her adulthood. Right. Like they're just so desperately trying to sit at the big boys table that it's just a mess, man.
Right. And like we tease them and make fun of them and stuff, and I try to tell them, I'm like, the blueprint is out there. You guys, Miami stinks right now, whatever, but the blueprint for how Miami did it, a small school that went and played the Royals of college football on national television and beat them. And by Royals, I mean Notre Dame, Alabama, Michigan, Oklahoma, the big boys. You can't beat a 4-loss Auburn and then claim a national title.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid.
Well, that's the most ridiculous, just bullshit thing. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic that they had like a parade in Disney World because they were like they claimed themselves as the national champions, and I just think that's so hysterical.
These other teams that want to say take over for Miami or take their place or vault them or whatever, like UCF and Boise for 10 years ago or whatever, they were like screaming and yelling, we're undefeated. Dude, you guys won one big game against Oklahoma, which was kind of like the Auburn game for UCF. They were uninterested, unmotivated, and you guys were doing trick plays out there. Like, congratulations. That's one good win.
Yeah.
But Boise, it's not what Miami did in the 80s, like crawling up and playing the big boys and stomping them. You have to get a resume. So I just make fun of the UCF people. I'm like, you guys have 2 wins. One, you beat number 6 Baylor in 2014. And most people have to look Baylor up on Wikipedia because they're nobodies. And the second one is the Auburn game, which was a 3-loss Auburn team that was kind of deflated and unmotivated.
Yeah.
Preach. I would love to play UCF and just wreck, I would love to just destroy UCF. And
I mean, it's hysterical. I don't follow it that much, but I watch it on what Tony posts to antagonize them and stuff, and they're 66th in recruiting.